good afternoon, and if you're coming home from working a long 9 to 5, I hope you're having a great one as we bring to you the first 2026 episode of Talktagon with myself, Rami, and the dog Max.
Hey,
Uh,
we're
how
back.
how you doing, my friend?
Doing good. We had like a 6 week break of no Talktagon, so it's good to
Exactly.
get the routine back.
It
We're back and better than ever.
it was heartbreaking. People said, "Oh, it's 6 weeks without MMA. Who cares?" I care because I like some combat. I like some violence. You gotta have that mixed up in your weekend.
Oh, yeah.
Everybody's working for the weekend. I'm working for some MMA to be on my TV.
Bro,
So
give me some
very, very
violence. Come on.
excited. You know what I mean? I love violence. But of course, great card. Great. There are some like pros and cons, I'd say, of the broadcast. Like for
Yeah,
example,
the new Paramount deal.
too many ads I think is like a little bit too much for me. I'm not really, working for that. I don't really
Yeah, it
care
was
for
a bit
to see all
excessive.
that type of
It
stuff.
was like taking
Um,
away from like the walkouts and
yeah,
the
yeah,
cornerman
I
work.
was so excited because like Waldo Cortez Acosta and Derek Lewis were about to fight, and I don't think I've been watching too much of the broadcast, like entrance wise or walkout wise, but I was like, oh, this is gonna be exciting. They're gonna do the walkout, and then
Yeah.
we're gonna get something impressive. Like I love walkout music. It gets you pumped up, and then by the time they came back, Cortez Acosta's walking around the octagon. I'm like, you fucked me. You straight up fucked me right there, unprotected, and I ain't liking that. So like, hopefully they fix it for this Saturday
Yeah.
because they're gonna
Yeah,
be in
it's
Sydney,
the main
Australia
card. I
for
mean, come on.
325.
It's the main card. You
Exactly.
gotta you gotta not have you gotta have the walkouts for the main card. If it was the prelims, okay, I understand. Not getting the pay-per-view
And
money,
what's
make it
crazy
up
is that
with ads.
the prelims got a walkout. Like our first fight here.
Yeah.
As we Let me put this up here. Prelims, right? Uh, yeah.
Yep.
Um, Ty Miller made his UFC debut in the welterweight division against Adam Fugit, one word off of a slur. And honestly, crazy showing very, very quickly. We had some awesome, back-to-back fights right here.
Yeah.
Ty Miller gets this really big finish. He was just pummeling on Fugit the whole time. I don't think Fugit had a really good moment throughout the 4 minutes
Hmm.
and 59 seconds that he was in there. And then by the time that the round was between over, the fight was over and Miller got a big one. What were your thoughts on this, big win for him in his UFC debut? And just what were your thoughts?
Yeah, really impressive win. Fugit isn't exactly the top of the top that the UFC has to offer, but can only fight who's in front of you. And I thought that he looked really solid, really rangy in there. He's got really long arms, so he used that to really good use, and made got that first round finish right near the end of the round. He got that, snuck it right in there, and was able to get that first round finish in his first ever UFC fight, coming off that Contender Series decision victory. So that's got to feel good getting that finish. Only, I believe, yeah, only his third finish in his career. So normally he goes to a decision, but that just goes to show he's probably getting better and better. Now he's finishing dudes, especially in the UFC. Ty Miller, 25 years old. This guy's going to be fun to watch going forward. So he should be able to get back out there ASAP. I mean, he didn't take much damage and got that quick finish. And I think he got a bonus too. So
Yeah,
hundred
yeah.
thousand dollars. They upped that finally.
The bonus
About
is that
time.
we get to finally see some really good bonuses. Uh, yeah, Ty Miller won that performance of the night bonus, $100,000. That is just amazing. So very happy for that.
Yeah.
And that's the thing you and I spoke about a lot, which I was so happy about when they announced this. I immediately thought you and I were like every time we're on here, we're talking about how there needs to be a better bonus system. Reward
Hmm.
your fighters for getting a finish. Every fight should have been a bonus award last year because we
Yep.
saw so many like flash knockouts, like last second knockouts, and we're like, yeah, that was good, but we're gonna focus on the co-main event bonus, and it's like, no,
Yeah.
that's silly. But we got back-to-back performance and night bonuses because of the 4 minutes and 59-second finishes. Ty Miller gets his first one here. You and I picked right there, and then our
Yep.
next fight, Josh Hokit, heavyweight division, transphobe UFC fighter enters the division and tries to work his way through the tomato cans.
Yep.
Denzel Freeman isn't more so somebody that you think of and you say, oh yeah, I'd like to see him fight. And that's not something disrespectful. It's more so the fact that I remember his last fight around
Yeah.
in
I
the
remember
UFC
that
because
one.
and it was just wow, that was just not good. Like I'd rather
Yeah.
watch Muhammad Usman fight rather than Denzel Freeman, and that's saying it in the most respectful way possible. You don't see the power, you don't see the pressure. It's just take those shots and just whatever happens happens. But Josh Hokett just treated Denzel Freeman in the most respectful way, like a dummy, like a crash test dummy,
Yeah.
like a tomato
Punching
can,
bag.
like because like a punching bag exactly. Because smacking a dude's ass while you're riding him like a horse is not like the most respectful thing I've ever seen in the octagon.
Some freaky
Speaking of
shit.
respect, yeah, Gene Silva's gonna have his freaking #1 spot right there,
Oh yeah.
but
For real
Josh,
though. Those some
but
disrespectful
Josh
moments for real.
Josh Hokett gets. I thought this was the funny part of the fight when everybody was tweeting out Josh Hokett via middle finger because he flips off
Yeah.
fucking Denzel Freeman and Freeman falls. I'm like,
For
what
real. That
was
was
that?
kind
Like,
of a funky stoppage. Although I'm like definitely was like valid because it was like the fight's one way, but that was just funny how he
I
falls
also
over
think the
the middle
UFC
finger and
was
they're like, we're
the
done.
UFC was trending in a way towards going to that 4 minute and 59-second finish. Like they were like, okay, if we can get it right there, if we see the clock says it's about to end with 1 second, finish the fight. You know what I mean? Like,
For
so
real, bro.
Josh
It was
Hokett.
an ugly one for Freeman. He was dominated.
Yeah, four back-to-back performance night bonuses is something that we've been wanting to see for the UFC, and just bonuses. So in general, if
Yeah.
if you're if you're new to this, there's $25,000 bonuses for a finish if you're not a performance of the night or thought of the night bonus. However, if you miss weight, you are ineligible to make that bonus. So it's
Yeah.
honestly
I like that.
understandable. It's keeping things very serious. You cannot miss weight and be like, oh, but I still made that money. Haha, no. You don't
Hmm.
make that money. You make your base pay, but you're not going to get no bonus. But
Yeah.
Hokia gets up a big win there. And the next fight, speaking of missing weight and not being able to get that bonus,
Yep.
my
We would have
buddy,
loved to get that one.
yeah, shout out to my buddy Brian. Him and I will finally watch. This is his first UFC event in quite a couple of years.
Oh
And then
shit.
I tell him,
Converting
I
people?
t- yeah, exactly. I told him, bro, look at Charles Johnson's haircut, and he's like, "What the fuck is that?" I'm like,
Yeah.
"Exactly. This
Unique
guy's
for
gonna get a
sure.
big finish. You know what I mean? This guy's gonna get a big finish." I saw him beat Kavana a couple of months ago in
Yeah,
Shanghai,
yeah.
China, and I was like, "Okay, if that's the case, I went with Kavana, so I have to go with Charles Johnson here."
Hmm.
You and I
He
were
burned us
both like,
before.
Alex Perez fought Asu Arablayev, and he was dominating the fight for those 2.5 rounds. And then the round 3 started, got put in the guillotine, choked out. We were like, that is some very terrible luck. Maybe Perez is a little bit losing it, so maybe Johnson's going to be that big step up that, puts him down. And
Yeah.
Perez was so angry. That was the most angriest I've seen this man.
Mm.
And just went right for it. Alex Perez, picked up a big win, just pummeling on Johnson. He dropped him the first time, then he dropped him a second time, and
Yeah.
then when he finally got him with a hook and dropped him, referee calls it off. I'm glad that you mentioned the same thing I mentioned in our text messages, which was he was shooting for a takedown. He went for that,
Yeah.
single leg, pick an ankle takedown, ankle picking some man like he's Tony Ferguson. I
Hmm.
thought it was freaking hilarious.
Yeah.
But what were your thoughts on Perez finally breaking that losing streak and looking real good despite not getting that big bonus?
Yeah, I'm super happy for him despite the weight miss, Got to get that in check to get those bonuses, especially with this new system. But yeah, he
Yeah,
came in
yeah.
determined. I was thinking maybe, like you were saying, this might be his way out. He has been looking good. Previously to this one, he'd only won one of his last like 6. Now he's broke that losing streak and back in the win column against a very solid opponent in Charles Johnson. We've seen him fight pretty much all the best fighters in this division. He's one of those guys where he's literally has a win over the current champion, Joshua Van, even
Yeah,
though
exactly.
it's crazy to see where this division, these bottom divisions are so talented where it's like you could have a win over the champion, but then Alex Perez may come in determined as ever and go out there and put on an amazing performance. As soon as that first left hook landed, Charles Johnson was out of it. His legs were not responding as they should be. And it's a good stoppage when the guy starts trying to keep fighting after the stoppage. I'm like, all right, definitely valid. He's out of it. Good stoppage.
Really,
And
very,
yeah,
very much.
we
Yeah.
got that one wrong, though. So it sucks. We predicted it wrong. But, Alex Perez came out there and proved us wrong for sure. What a performance from
Yeah.
him.
Plus, missing weight, I felt like it was going to be a big disadvantage for him because when you miss weight, you feel that morale go down. And Charles
Mm-hmm.
Johnson thinking to
Yeah.
himself, okay, so I get some of his purse, and then I get a bonus, I'm gonna go in there and I'm gonna, just do my thing. And then Perez is just a wild rabid dog and just goes up crazy in first round, gets himself that big finish, and despite not being eligible for that, I feel like that saved his job. It
Oh
made
yeah.
him look he looked real good out there despite the missed weight of just 2, 3 pounds or whatnot. It's still you can't miss even a pound. You have to be
Hmm.
precise on this. You have
Even a
to
few point pounds, like
exactly
point
be a
0.5.
professional at the most maximum that you possibly can. See what I did there?
Hmm.
But so but we get that big Perez win here. Next up, Nikita Krylov looking much different. Shaved his head off, freaking like bulked up and everything. I was like,
Yeah.
huh, I haven't seen this
Scary.
guy in a minute. Yeah, it looked really great against Modestus Bukauskas. And we both went with Modestus,
Yeah.
thinking that this guy is just gonna come in there and have himself a really good showing here. Because of course in his last showing, he picked up a big win of Paul Craig, Ian Catelba, Rafael Torqueya, Martin Porcino, and before his last loss was like 2023. So it's been 3 years since he basically lost, and so we're like, you know
Yeah.
what, we got to go with freaking Modestus. Krylov himself has not been really doing so well. For example, his record shows that in his last two, Bogdan Guskov and Dominic Reyes put him down in the first round. So we were like, oh, Krylov,
Yeah.
he's been losing his chin. He hasn't really been doing
Hmm.
himself. But
100%.
he made the crowd boo. But I think he walked away with the best, satisfaction, and that was when he got to the third round and constantly wrestling down Modestus Bukauskas, keeping him away from, trying to get any advantages. And then you get the finish in the third round with 3 seconds left on the clock. Basically a buzzer beater knockout. I thought it was 4 minutes and 59 seconds. They
Yeah.
say 57. It felt like it was right there on the buzzer. But of course, Krylov picks up the big win, the big bonus, and honestly keeps his job as well. Perez
Yep.
and Krylov both needed these wins here. And I think that
Yeah.
we were seeing it in a way of just if they had not been looking good. So I think the next step up is Modestus, having this big old win over Krylov, and then Charles Johnson continuing on his winning ways, trying to get that another KO loss, or sorry, KO win. But of course, buzzer beater knockout, Krylov, Bukastis. What were your thoughts on it, and what do you see Krylov doing next?
Yeah. Impressive win for Krylov. Like you said, all the momentum was with Bukauskas, and Krylov was coming off back-to-back first-round knockouts. So I was like, it's not looking too good for Krylov coming into this. But once again, similar to Perez, these guys had their backs against the walls. Potentially could be their final fights if the UFC is not happy with how they've been performing. So they both came out and were the absolute best and put on a really, really impressive performance. What is up with this card and these freaking right at the end? There's been these finishes right at the end of each round. So these guys would clutch this card. They're like, I'm gonna get these guys out of here right before the buzzer. So it was a really crazy finish, and really happy for Nikita Krylov. He's one of those guys who has a lot of talent, but he's just been pretty inconsistent. Had some wins, then he'd have a few losses in a row, then bounce back. So he's one of those guys that he's always has the talent, but it's a matter of is he able to be consistency and is he going to be able to really do that against the best of the best? And he's kind of been a little bit of a gatekeeper for that light heavyweight division. And Bukauskas is coming here looking to, show that he should be in that ranked conversation, but did not pass the test and got finished. So Krylov is still right in there. Got to get a few more win streaks going, but he's still a very, very dangerous guy. I mean, almost all of his wins are finishes, so you got to be tough in there with him.
For sure, for sure. And like you mentioned, saving your job, having this good performance, I feel like he proved that if you put him up against another talent, you can be able to take them down to those deep rounds, 2, 3 rounds, and then be able to get that finish. Especially, like we said, this bonus structure is
Yeah,
making people want to get more finishes. It's
yeah,
making people want to
crazy
go in there and say,
contest.
I can go and freaking, get some big wins. And we were saying that last year. Like we spent like about freaking 15 episodes of
Yeah,
saying each time, like, dude, if you pay these guys a little bit more money, they're gonna be
yeah,
freaking getting some crazy
for
ass
real. I'm
knockouts.
so glad they
Maybe
do that now.
so
It's
it's like
like
God
about
bless
time, bro.
it's about damn time. But of course, next up, Atiba Gutierrez in the middleweight division for Andre Polayev. And this was a fight that I was a little bit shocked by because he was rocking him, he was socking him, he was,
Hmm.
treating him all over the place. Thibaut Gauthier in his last two fights, big knockout wins, and we were like, dude, you bet against this guy, you're gonna pretty much pay because if you can't take him
Yeah,
down, you're not going to be able to destroy him. And Andre Palayev got completely destroyed 30-27, 29-28, 29-28, even though it should have been 30-27 on all the judges' scorecards, I feel. It was just domination from start to finish. Atiba picking up a big win here. But this was the fight that I was shocked by because Atiba's made for this bonus structure. He's made for
Yeah,
the
that's a
big
good point.
flash knockouts. These, because he was rocking Palayev, he was doing his work. But
Yeah.
then he couldn't finish this guy. And it just kind of goes to show just how good is Andre Palayev. You know what I mean?
Yep.
If you're not getting freaking smoked by these guys, you're taking a beating, but you're able to, still stay in there, then hell yeah. And they've hyped this guy up so much and everything. They've hyped up both Atiba and Andre. They basically said this fight is practically the feature of the prelim because you
Hmm.
get a knockout here, we get to the next fight with Umar Deepson Figueiredo, then you're gonna be getting yourself like a freaking main course meal. But Atiba Gutierrez picks up a big win here. No bonus, but a really good freaking dominant performance from him, showcasing his skills. What were your thoughts
Yeah.
on that?
Yeah, definitely needed that experience where he's just been coming in and straight destroying these guys. So I like the matchmaking here where Pulaev may not have the best UFC record on paper. Now he's 1-2 overall, but I mean, both of those losses are to Chris Leroy Duncan and now Gauthier. So it's not like this guy's some scrub bum that they got out of some random freaking regional fighter. But this dude is legit big middleweight too. Like I was surprised that he was actually they're really similar in size. Where we've seen Atiba just like absolutely look like a heavyweight in there with these other middleweights. So Palaev is a big boy as well, and got rocked early on, but he showed some toughness, making it all the way to the end. Atiba was really patient. It seemed like he didn't want to overextend himself too much and potentially gas out. So as much as I wanted to see the finish, I do think that it's good for Atiba to get that experience, get those rounds under his belt, because that was his first time past the first round in the UFC. I mean, that doesn't happen often. It's not going to happen. You can't have that for a whole career. So eventually you're going to get one of those guys who's not going to fall. Well, I should say not fall and stay down because, Palaev did fall, but he got back up and took Atiba to only his second decision, or I guess third, not counting the loss, second decision win. So he hadn't had a decision win all the way since his first ever win. So credit to Palaev. I think that he should be able to bounce back from this because he showed that he's a tough fighter, huge for that weight class. And for Atiba, I think that he's going to learn from this and keep getting better, man. He's such an exciting prospect. I saw some people dogging on him. I'm like, what? I'm like, just because he doesn't get an instant KO doesn't mean it's a terrible performance. So I think that
Exactly.
it's still a lot of potential for him, and he's so young still. He's going to keep getting better, keep learning and improving. He's really new to the game, so I'm excited to see how he learns from this performance and hopefully improves even more.
I completely agree with you. Great, great, freaking, detail on that because, like we always say, you can be out there like a Francis Ngannou, but then
Mm-hmm.
you could be as dominant as Francis Ngannou, you could be as dominant as Khabib Nurmagomedov with the wrestling. But if you're balanced, then you can be able to use both of those sides. Then you're just
Mm-hmm.
gonna just run through the whole division, depending on what kind of fighter you are, because that cardio matters so much. The
Yeah.
power is, always right there, but also being able to adapt in the situation because we've seen Israel Adesanya like have so many dominant, great moments. But then when he moved up to light heavyweight, he fought Jan Blachowicz. He was wrestled. He was leg kicked to
Mm-hmm.
freaking death, and then he was wrestled. So, something that he wasn't really dealing with a lot in the middleweight division. He dealt with wrestlers, but nobody really trying to wrestle him. Derek Brunson didn't try to wrestle him. Who else was there? There was another fighter. I'm trying to think. He was like a freaking like one of the first main events that Adesanya had. I feel like I'm blanking on this, but I feel bad about that. But they had this first main event, UFC Ultimate Fighter finale, and then he pieced them up for 5 rounds straight. And it was a fight where you'd expect, some wrestling for Adesanya's side. That didn't happen. Yoel Romero fought him. No wrestling there, barely any
Yeah.
wrestling. So
Not much at
it,
all.
not much at all. So I feel like I feel fucked up for blanking on this name. I saw something
Yeah, I'm
E.
trying to think. E.
No, Brett Tavares. That's what it was. It was Brett.
Oh,
I don't know.
yeah,
I
yeah,
thought that.
yeah.
I was thinking of something. I was like Brett Tavares fought Adesanya in that first main event, and that
Yeah.
was a test. But he didn't really get tested that much until Jan Blachowicz came out there. But of course, our next fight up, Umar Nurmagomedov versus Deepson Figueiredo. Deepson Figueiredo missed weight by of course 3 pounds, 3.5 pounds. So not a
Yeah.
good look. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Especially after
but
he got
I'm
he
just
got
realizing, bro, I fucked up the graphic bad, bro.
did
I
you?
have Umar in red. So ignore that, viewers. We're having an even better record than I thought. So fuck, dude. A bit rusty after that 6 week layoff. So cut us
Yeah,
some
like, we haven't
slack.
been
So we're even
we
better
haven't
than
been
we
able
thought. Fuck, dude.
you haven't been able to do it every week, so
Four
it's
and
like I
two. Let's go.
hell yeah, brother. But Deepson Figueiredo, he finally got out of the whole like really like fuck the fuck shit of his weight. You know what I mean? Like always looking like he's so dehydrated when he gets out
Yeah.
there. He looks good, but then it looks like he was having those good fights over people that you should be beating. For
Yeah.
example, after he moved up to bantamweight, he fought Rob Font. He can beat Rob Font, all due respect. He beat Cody Garbrandt, who was in with vertigo. No sense of Cody Garbrandt, but if a takedown's gonna really affect you badly, then a lot of people are gonna be able to beat you. And then he
Mm,
beats Marlon Vera, which was I think a very tough test
yeah.
before going up to Peter Yan in that 5 rounder and then getting pieced up really badly. Going against Corey Sandhagen and getting his knee turned into pulled pork. And then he fights
Yeah.
Montel Jackson, gets that split decision win, is able to
Yeah.
survive that power. But then he fights Umar, and just like with Mario Batista, he was not able to land. He landed those safe knees and was like about to get out of there with a big win. But it's Umar Nurmagomedov whose only toughest challenge that he lost to essentially was Morab Dvalishvili because of
Hmm.
the wrestling. The wrestling is going to be what kills his cardio. If you can't wrestle with the guy, then you're not going to be able to piece him up, and it's going to be a really bad night for you. Umar picks up the big win. Figueiredo missed weight by 3 pounds. He picks up another big win over now Mario Batista, Beefs and Figueiredo after Marab Dvalishvili. But he did say in his interviews this past weekend that he does not want to fight Petr Yan next. He wants to fight Marab Dvalishvili. That's the big goal. If he can beat the guy who was champion, if he can stop him, then he can beat Petr Yan. That's how he
Yeah.
sees it as like a big test of I can't stop myself from beating my enemies or beating people that beat me before I can go after the championship. But what were your thoughts on Umar Nurmagomedov's big win here? And what do you think is next? Do you think Marab fights him next, or do you think somebody else comes out of the Woodhaven?
Honestly, yeah, that 135 division is tough right now. I'm like, are they gonna rematch Marab and Peter right away, or are we gonna see O'Malley get a shot to win, or are we gonna see Umar just get a shot right away and fight Peter Yan? That'd be a fun one. So yeah, it's a really tough one with this performance. Solid performance. I don't know. I feel like Figueiredo didn't really offer too much of a challenge, which I was surprised by. I was expecting it to at least be closer than this. But Umar, dominant performance. Didn't really let Figgy get going whatsoever. So credit to Umar for that performance. I'm a little surprised he doesn't want that title shot. I'm like, it's kind of if Merab doesn't get the rematch, then I don't know if he would want to fight Umar or if we just want to wait it out or what. I feel like Merab deserves a rematch for that title. So I'm not sure what they're going to do with that division. It's really top heavy. I mean, we also have Sandhagen in there as well. So there's lots of different options to go with. Yeah, it's tough to say, man. It's like you thought Merab was going to be up there forever with how he was fighting, and then you see Peter Yan put that performance on, and it throws your whole concept of the division upside down. Where I was imagining Merab there for a while, but now Peter turned that around, and now we'll see what they're going to do. I have no idea. I honestly feel like maybe Umar deserves it more, but I mean, I think Merab deserves the rematch, but if it was going to not be Merab for the title, then I feel like maybe give it to Umar. Or screw it, just do Umar versus O'Malley and really see who's the number one contender, because that'd be a fun fight too. They've been talking about it for a while. Still hasn't happened. That's one I'd like to see too. So honestly, I wouldn't be mad at any of those, honestly. They're
so many good
all
options.
deserving. Yeah.
There's so many really great options. When we get to the co-main, I cannot wait to really discuss that because I feel like the judges are smoking dick lately, and it comes a lot with a Sean O'Malley fight.
Oh
But
yeah.
Umar Nurmagomedov picks up that big win. Merab Dvalishvili was saying that he's not going to be able to. He wants to fight soon. He wants to fight very soon against Petr Yan and be able to settle that because Petr Yan cannot fight at the White House. From what Merab Dvalishvili was told by the UFC officials, is that there will be no Russians on this card. Not a single Russian fighter will be on this card, mainly because America probably thinks that they're going to get bombed in the center of the octagon, killing 4,000 people in a row, freaking smithereens all over the place. body
Sure, well,
parts like
all
his
the
Final
freaking
Destination.
billionaires that'll be in the crowd, they're like, sorry
They're gonna be all like
guys, can't take any
waving
risks.
the American flag, and all of a sudden Pearl Harbor happens in the middle of the world, like freaking just smithereens on these people, which is crazy. It's like we're
Yeah,
having
I
a
can't
White
believe
House
that card's
bomb.
gonna probably happen, but I'm like,
I
fucking
know
shit.
it's like Ireland versus America is basically the whole plot of it, because if they want to continuously book Connor, I have many assault cases on me,
Yeah.
McGregor, and who
Yeah,
else
I'm
is there?
like,
I don't
is
really know
he
who's
even?
gonna
That's what I'm
fight.
saying. I'm like,
The,
is this
so
card even
well,
gonna happen? That's what I'm
so
wondering.
like
I'm like,
Michael
we'll
Chandler's not
see.
fighting him. Michael Chandler's not fighting him. Jorge Masvidal's not fighting him. I'm like, okay, cool. I don't care for those two really. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm
Who
like,
is gonna kill this
how about
guy?
you just let
Like
him
this
do
one,
BKFC already? Because that's where he's headed.
like let's just have a special bare knuckle fight in the octagon, and let's just have all the bare knuckle heavyweights fight Connor. You know what I mean? Just freaking get bruised up, get beaten up for everything you've ever
5v1,
said and done.
see what happens for real though. Yeah, I'm like that card, the White House card. I'm just like, are they ever gonna announce anything, or what the fuck's even happening with that shit?
Well, he did say that this week will be the matchmaking for them, that following UFC
Mm,
324. So this week we might be able to hear some stuff on it. But what's so funny is just the whole like everybody wants to be on the card, and there's all these people who says, "No, I don't want to be on the card." You know, like Sean Strickland.
yeah,
I don't want to impress any of the Americans like that. Oh, but I'm gonna wear an ice suit. Like
yeah.
you hate
Pick a
all these
struggle.
Republican people, but you're acting like one. So it's like
Yeah.
MMA fighters with PTSD, CTE, all that type of stuff. Well, speaking of something, and I mean this in the most respectful way possible before somebody clips this and tries to cancel me on Twitter. Gene Silva said a couple of days ago, even a couple of weeks ago, that he was diagnosed with autism, and that he knows that Arnold Allen is also diagnosed with autism. So he told Arnold Allen that they need a promise that they will make this the most autistic fight in the world. And
I would
it was
say
really.
so.
I would say, like, and I'm not saying about the diagnosis of autism, but like two dudes who have CTE galore or looking like they don't know where they are. I think that's pretty goddamn autistic. And just you know what I mean? Like, all the respect, Gene Silva and Arnold Allen had an amazing freaking fight, like top to bottom, like deserving a fight of the night bonus, which did not get a fight of the night bonus. Didn't even
Yeah.
get a bonus, but I was like, okay, like at that point, you gotta give two fight of the night bonuses for the freaking first card and then for the last fight, because Gene Silva and Arnold Allen had themselves a great one. They were going back and forth, and then in the end, Arnold Allen became the biggest meme in the world because he got rode like a surfboard by Gene
Yeah.
Silva. Gene Silva got on top of him, jumped off like he could fly, and
For real, that was
wow,
so. That I never thought I'd be seeing that in a UFC fight. I have
yeah,
to admit.
I love how everybody was like, well, that's the first, you know what I mean? Like you don't
For
really see
real.
that in the middle of a fight. Like who's gonna do like that could hurt someone's neck. You know what I mean? You stomp on the freaking neck, you put some
Yeah.
pressure on there. Like, yeah, it's crazy. But what were your thoughts on Gene Silva picking up this win here after finally losing in the UFC to Diego
Yeah.
Lopez at UFC
Yeah.
Noche at San Antonio?
That's Gene Silva. Even though he lost that fight, I'm still high on him. He's a really athletic fighter, explosive fighter against a really tough fighter in Arnold Allen, who we've seen fight a lot of the top guys in the division. Lost a good amount of them. Where he's coming off, he lost to Max Holloway, Mosai, and then he beat Giga Chikadze, and now this matchup he put up a decent fight, really fun fight, but Gene was just a little bit too much for him, a little bit too explosive, too athletic, and too well-rounded, where Allen wasn't really able to use his game plan as much as he wanted to. And yeah, really impressive win for Gene Silva back in that win column after losing to Diego Lopez. That's why I'm not mad at the Diego Lopez title shot, because I'm like, beating Gene Silva in the way he did, I'm like, I mean, fuck it. You deserve a title shot after doing that, because Gene Silva is legit 100%. And the fact that he was able to, really start to dominate Allen towards the end there, freaking jumping on top of him. You don't see that very often with someone like Allen, who's such a tough fighter, always in great fights he's always fighting, seems to be some of the best every single time. So, huge credit to Silva. And as for Allen, I don't know. What do you think? Is he ever going to, be in that top 3 category contender again? I don't know. He might just be top 10 level, not quite top level.
Let me look at this. So is the list like 6-4, like of our record,
It
or
should be
is it like 7-4?
7-4, yeah. So
All
we did
right.
better than we
Hey,
thought.
hey,
Hey, I know. I was like,
hey,
we
we're
kind of
doing.
started out rough. I'm like, it doesn't feel like
Yeah,
that.
I was about to say, wait a minute. But
For real.
also,
So
I
we're
forgot to put
better than, we
the
let us go
OG
on.
Brady Atiba through my parlay. He put, yeah, this was like 10 minutes
Oh,
ago. I feel so bad, but no, listen, like freaking Charles Johnson through my parlay, Modestus Bukauskas through my parlay, like Atiba through my parlay for the knockout, for example.
for
Like
real,
I
yeah.
was,
He
I
seemed
was like.
like an instant knockout, but
I love the fact that I cannot bet. It's California. You cannot bet none of that stuff. So if the FBI sees this, I'm betting, but I'm not doing it myself. But
you're like,
setting out my little picks. You
recommending
know what I
some
mean?
stuff.
Like, what was that guy's name? The one that was Shohei Ohtani's interpreter. That
Oh
freaking
yeah. I can't remember.
yeah.
Fuck.
I forgot his name, but that's me basically. Like, you know what I mean? I'm right there in people's ears, like, oh, you got to do this. But Gene Silver picking up the big win here over Arnold Allen. I'm very happy for it. These two, it was really a hard fight to pick because Gene Silver's got that power, but Arnold Allen is a guy who literally was undefeated until he fought Max Holloway. Like, you know
Mm-hmm.
what I mean? It
Yeah.
took all that. It took all that time for him to be able to lose, and he did lose. We're like, hey, reasonable. But Gene Silver
Mm-hmm.
picks up the big win here. Diego Lopez is fighting this Saturday against Alexander Volkanovski.
Yeah.
Who knows? Maybe that fills up the stock if Gene Silva can pick up another win in the next
Yeah.
couple of
Yeah.
months.
If
We
Lopez
could see
wins, then
Lopez
we can see the
and
rematch.
Silva for the
For
championship.
real.
I think that would be
I'd watch
perfect.
that.
Uh,
I'd watch the shit out of that.
exactly. Next up, women's action. The only women's fight on the card. I was like, come
Mm-hmm.
on now, because I'm usually pushing for the 3-4 women's fight on the
Yeah.
card.
It was supposed
They
to
only
be
had.
the
It was
co-main.
supposed to be Amanda Nunes versus Kayla Harrison, two women's fight undercard with all these other fights. Like, all the respect, take off, what do you call it, Hokett and Freeman, replace it with the women, and I'd be perfectly fine with it.
Oh
And
yeah. For real, Hokett seems to not fuck
but
with women.
Natal,
He's calling Brittany Griner a man. I'm like, so do you guys want
yeah,
women's in women's sport? I'm like, now you're attacking women. I'm like, wait a minute. I'm so confused. I'm like,
hey,
what? I'm like,
Dana,
so I'm
Dana White
confused.
called. Dana White told him, "Don't mention it to me." Dana White was like very furious about that whole stuff because it's like,
I'm
what are you
like,
doing,
do you
dude?
want women in sports or not? I'm like, that's a fucking woman, bro. I'm sorry,
Like,
she's freaking bigger than you and stronger than you, probably. But hey,
exactly.
bro,
Has
I'm
a
like,
better career,
shit.
has a better career than you. You're just
Yeah,
mad because
yeah.
you're on a 2-fight win streak in the UFC over tomato cans. Like,
Yeah, I
actually fought a
know.
real
I
fighter,
know.
and
I've
then
seen
we'll
some
actually talk.
people saying that he's top 10 already. Okay. I'm like, bro, he's beaten two scrubs. I'm like, how is that top 10? I'm like, is the
You can't be
heavyweight
top.
that bad? I'm like, damn.
Like, is the UFC heavyweight division that fucking shitty? Do we have to freaking do some research with Dana White?
For real, bro. I was like, this
But
guy's
of
wilding
course,
out.
Natalia da Silva, 13 fight win streak heading into this one against Rose Namajunas, the former women's strawweight champion, create two-time women's strawweight champion. Let's get that right.
Yeah,
She
yeah,
beat Joanna. She beat Jordan Jacek with a knockout, and then she beat Zhang Wali by a freaking knockout. So I'm like, my God,
yeah.
it's just
For
crazy
real,
work
dude.
for Rose Namajunas.
Her prime is
And
like
even
one of
with
the
this,
best of the best.
of course, with this fight here, I do not understand at the end of it how the crowd was booing and treating Natalia da Silva like she lost whatsoever. They both had a really good performance, but it's more so the matter of the fact that Natalia da Silva put out the more freaking endurance, all the punches, all the
Yeah.
the output of the punches.
Yeah.
She in the third round from minute one all the way to the third minute, she was throwing up jabs and kicks and stopping Rose Namajunas. And people were like, yeah, I don't think she won because she didn't land a takedown. Dog,
Yeah. I'm like,
if I
what? Is she
if I
supposed to be is wrestling?
if I land a takedown and I'm laying on top of somebody and I'm landing no punches, then guess the fuck what? I lost that goddamn round. You have to be reasonable with this. It's common sense. If I lay on
Hmm.
top of somebody and there's no damage being put, they tell you, like, the judges score off of the damage in the cage, off of, like, the freaking, kind of performance you had, knockdowns, all that
Yeah.
type of stuff. And you're gonna tell me that someone putting in some freaking, some output of the punches is not gonna win the fight. A 13 fight win streak is not gonna extend to 14 with the way she's been fighting.
Hmm.
Nami Yunus had a moment in the second round, I will say, with her wrestling where it was like, okay, that's good, but she wasn't putting in any damage. So I
Yeah.
was thinking to myself the whole time, like, you're good with the takedown, but you got to start throwing some punches to be able to
Hmm.
stop Natalia da Silva. But now Natalia da Silva picks up a big win here, 29-20 on all the judges' scorecards, and secures herself a big date in the future with
Yep.
Valentina Shevchenko for that women's flyweight championship, the most dominant woman division, who just pieced up another dominant woman in Zhang Weili, is gonna be trying to stop this 14 fight win streak. Now, 14 fight win streak, I feel like that's the most ultimate test to put against Valentina Shevchenko. But then she goes into these fights, like against Manon Farrow and all these other women, and she dominates. She sees your game plan. Okay, win the first 2 rounds. Like example, Alexa Grasso or Manon
Yeah.
Farrow in a 5-round fight. Win those 2 rounds, go right ahead. But round 3, 4, and 5, I'm gonna take you down, elbow you, and just submit you or just make you look like a pussy. And I say that in the most respectful way possible because it's the truth.
Yeah.
Valentina has made so many people look like just trash, and that's
Oh
not
yeah.
their fault. It's the fact of how dominant she is. We could say that about Khabib Nurmagomedov as well. But
Mm-hmm.
Natalia Silva picks up a big win here. Do you see them booking a title fight next, or what? Like, what do
Yeah.
you see happening?
I mean, you got to at this point. Undefeated in the
Yeah,
UFC, huge winning streak. Made Rose look not that good. I mean, her footwork is just so hard to catch up to. Where it's like she's able to strike and move, where it's like you have to chase her the whole time, but then she's also still out throwing you and landing more punches, even though she's seemingly going backwards most of the fight. She's able to really time it and get in and out. And it's just so crazy to see that her opponent's always chasing her, but then also not throwing anything really. So she's able to just kind of pick them apart. Rose did have that good round where she had this wrestling, but other than that, I'm not mad at the decision whatsoever. I'm like, it was like maybe 1 round for Namajunas, and I think the judges reflected that, and the other two got to go to Silva, more activity, controlling the distance. So yeah, really impressive win. I mean, you said it, Rose Namajunas has some of the best resume of any woman in the UFC of all time, one of the all-time greats. I mean, so for Natalia to be able to add that to her resume is huge for her. Now, will it happen the same way against Valentina? I don't know. Valentina is another one of those strikers who has really good footwork, really good distance management. So it's going to be an interesting matchup. Is it going to be kind of boring where they're both kind of staying away from each other, or is one of them really going to kind of switch up their style and take more risks? Or is, we've seen this in the last Valentina fight. Well, Valentina will just lay on top of you and just use the wrestling because that's the easiest way for her to do it. If she's worried about the striking, she's so well-rounded, she can just use the grappling. So I'm definitely very interested in see that fight happen. Our boy Brady's been calling for Natalia to get that title shot forever, so I'm sure he's going to be happy about that when that happens because I think at this point, who else is there? You gotta give it to her because
there's really nobody. You know what I mean?
Zhang cut the line and did not get the job done at all. We were rocking the Zhang, and Valentina showed levels, and we'll see if that happens once again with Natalia because Valentina just seems to never freaking age, and keeps putting on great performance after great performance. So I'm really excited to see if someone's going to finally be able to test her because we thought that was going to be Zhang, but it did not happen.
Without a doubt. And Natalia da Silva, she has wins over Jasmine Jasudavicius in her debut fight. Then goes on to knock out
That's
Teresa
crazy.
later, picks up another big win, defeats Andrea Lee, Vivian Arajo, Jessica Andrade, Alexa Grasso. Like she's already beaten people that have fought, Valentina Shevchenko.
Yep.
She's ready for this. She's more than prepared for this. Like you said, Brady's been pushing for this ever since the very beginning of the show. He's like, hey, gotta give, Natalia da Silva her freaking props and give her that championship opportunity. And that's the one that you definitely need to freaking book. The UFC needs to definitely book very, very soon. Like, you know what I mean? Like Natalia Silva looked perfect in there. Didn't come out with any damage, barely any.
Yeah.
And she was perfect for it. So whether they freaking set this up for April or May, I think that those two, months are really good. You don't want to extend it to the International Fight Week because if let's say the fight happens in April, then you can probably have it happen for International Fight Week if both women are ready for that because it's gonna be a war of nutrition. You know what I mean? Just trying to best if we can get the best cardio out there and the best output because Valentina's gonna shoot for takedowns and Natalia Silva's gonna have to work her best. Just wrestling coaches and grappling coaches down to the bone. But of course, next fight up is Waldo Cortez Acosta. Last year I did not like this guy. I was like, I don't. He's too boring for me. And he proved me wrong. After the Sergey Pavlovich fight, I was like, you know what?
He ain't
I don't
so
hate the guy.
bad.
He ain't so bad. Let's go see him fight like when he fought like Ante Delija. And then
Mm-hmm.
eye poke happened. I was like, whoa, that's fucked up. But they resumed the fight. He knocks out Delija, and I'm like, oh golly,
Yeah.
let's have this happen even more. Waldo Cortez Acosta comes into this one against Derek Lewis, and both men were saying we're gonna stay, standing, and we're gonna freaking just throw bombs at each other. And first round was so much fun. Like they were just trying to get that feel out process, but like it's just so scary whenever you see these two guys come go at it. Second
Yeah.
round
Big
comes in,
boys.
and big men slapping meat. Oh my goodness, Derek Lewis was gassed out. Like he was, you could already tell he was like, man,
Yeah.
I'm just trying
Yeah.
to land this goddamn lucky
Mm-hmm.
shot. Get
Some of
the
those
fuck out of
punches,
here.
he was looking a little
But then
unbalanced.
he took that big punch across the cheek, and then he fell. And let's be real, he was not like some people are like, oh, he was dealing with an injury. Nah, man, that's just cardio. That's just his. You gas
Mm-hmm.
the fuck out. Like
Yeah.
he knows he ain't no 5 round fighter. He's not no 3 round fighter. He's a I'm gonna go in there and kick some ass. But he gets finished here by Waldo Cortez Acosta, who picks up a big win. I think this was his biggest win in the UFC, by far. Derek Lewis, he
Yeah.
beat the Black Beast, and you're able to, pick up that big, money, 25K extra on top of the base pay that you have. Now that's three
Yep.
fights in a row where he's knocked out opponents. Arne Delija, Shamil Gaziev, and now Derek Lewis. All three fights basically earning a bonus. Delija performs in the night, Gaziev performs in the night, and then now Lewis, that big 25K
Finish
extra
bonus.
pay.
I like
So it's
it.
like it's nice. It's nice to see he's staying active. He's staying ready. Honest to freaking God, if you gotta wait it out for freaking Tom Aspinall, then Cyril Gane against Waldo Cortez Acosta is a
Yeah.
good fight to freaking make. I
Mm-hmm.
think that adds both scariness of like, hey, I want to stay active. I want to prove myself, like, so I can get back into that world title picture. Because after the whole eye poke, I feel like it kind of weirdens it out to get to that world heavyweight title picture or get to the world championship picture. Because you end the fight with a no contest. Your opponent can't fight. They're really not looking to, to rebook this fight anytime soon to
Yeah.
stay
Yeah.
active.
Yeah.
Fight
I'd not be
Volkov,
mad at that at all.
fight Jonathan Almeida, fight somebody. But I think Cortez Acosta and Cyril Gane will be a really fun fight. What were your
Mm-hmm.
thoughts about seeing this big
Yeah.
knockout?
He stays hot, man. He's been having a crazy last freaking like 4 months or so, where he got that Delija win, then Gaziev in like freaking a month later, and then now he gets matched up with one of the biggest names in the division, and Derek Lewis, like you said, definitely his most high-profile win by far, and has an amazing performance, man. After he dropped Derek, I'm like, probably could step in, and then the ref lets him keep going a little bit, beating his ass even more. I'm like, okay, ref, I don't want to see Derek freaking get killed, bro. Hop in there. Finally ended it. And was that the fight where Mark Smith, I think, freaking tore his ACL or some shit? Or was that the earlier fight? We got to mention that. Did you hear about that?
I think it was, yeah, Atiba Gautier and Andre Polayev. That was the fight where he tore his ACL.
Bro, because I saw videos, it was like, Mark Smith is being carried out of the arena. I'm like, what? I'm like, what the fuck happened?
And then Dana White was like, oh, you guys not going to ask about the referee? He tore his ACL. Like, he busted that shit off. Like,
bro, but out for the year. No more Mark Smith. We're bringing back in Mario Yamasaki. He's coming back.
I need it. Hey, I'm for it. I'm for that shit.
Yeah.
But a really good performance from Cortez Acosta. Very happy to see him go from there. And what happens next is what happens next. He's getting himself better.
Bro, but he's put himself in that title picture with how he's been just active and getting these finishes now 3 in a row. I mean, shit, the heavyweight needs some of that, for real. I need some new faces that are actually going to be fighting consistently and putting on good performances. So I think Waldo, he's been really, really doing a good job making the most of these last few fights, and really, went from kind of more of an unknown guy where it's like, okay, Waldo's okay, decent. And then now he's like, yeah, exactly. Now he's like the certified name in that heavyweight division, ready to, hopefully be getting another big name after Derek Lewis and potentially being in the title shot picture, like you said. I'd love to see him and Cyril Gane at this point, like you said.
Exactly. He beat Derek Lewis, the number 8 ranked heavyweight, number 5 ranked Waldo Cortez Acosta. With that win, I feel like he goes over Curtis Blades, maybe for the number 4 spot, if anything. But then above him, Sergey Pavlovich, which we could see a rematch of.
Yeah, I wouldn't be mad at that one.
A good main event right there. Alexander Volkov, get that situated right there, or Cyril Gane. If you want to give him like the best package deal, it's Cyril
Mhm.
Gane. But Pavlovich rematch still sets him into that top three, and we could be able to see Waldo Cortez Acosta extend his 3-fight winning streak to 4, and then be
Yeah.
able to truly prove that he deserves that heavyweight championship shot. Up next, bantamweight division, Sean O'Malley versus Song Yadong.
Yep.
I was already I was already off the bat going for Song Yadong because I was like, I've seen him fight so many times and he's been so dominant. He's been really carrying himself in the best way possible. I just learned this past weekend that his coach is Uriah Faber. Am I late to the party? Because like,
Yeah, yeah. The alpha male boys.
yeah, they legit were talking like, oh, for years he's been here. I'm like, huh, never knew. I'm like, I feel so bad. I was like, huh, am I new to this? I'm like drinking my coffee. I'm like, okay,
Hey, wait a
but
minute.
a lot of people are very iffy about this fight. They're 50-50 with this fight. I feel like it's another situation that we're witnessing where Sean O'Malley picks up this 3-round fight and they're like, oh yeah, it's because of the significant strikes he landed, but there wasn't any damage. Like
Yeah, that
if
knee
he
he
would
landed was definitely the most damage of the whole
the
fight.
most damage he got where he busted his lip open in the third round. So if rounds 1 and 2 were not his and only round 3 was his, I'm I'm no expert at math, but I think that means 2-1. You know what I mean? And it basically means that
Yeah.
Song Yadong should have won this fight from judge scorecards. We had the same problem when Sean O'Malley beat Petr Yan, and we're like, really? Petr
Hmm.
Yan pieced this boy up. There's no freaking way that Sean O'Malley walked out of that one. But they were really hoping to push this guy into the title picture, and they did it
Yeah,
again this
yeah.
past weekend. Song Yadong had a really good performance. Just very dominant, very strategic with the way he was placing the kicks, jab, overhand, even elbows. Like he was having himself a good one. Even the wrestling was showing a bit. But
Yeah.
Sean O'Malley picks up the win here off of a lucky knee that got a judge's scorecard win. You can't even say lucky knee that got a knockout, like a sentence would probably be.
Yeah,
It
yeah.
was just, oh, he got it the judge's scorecards. And then everybody online, like, I put terrible call. Song definitely won that fight. And I got called the R slur. Like somebody called me the R slur, and then they're like, "Ha, the R slur blocked me," because I put that. Congratulations, you are the Legacy Award winner for the biggest cuck in the world. Fun fact: your father was the record holder. Your deadbeat father. I was like, I can go toe
But
to toe with anybody.
don't fuck
I
with
don't have to
Rami
use
on Twitter.
I don't have to use slurs to be able to get my point across. But yeah, like everybody on Twitter was like very 50-50, like, right, I guess you don't watch MMA. I'm like, I don't watch MMA. I'm like, if I see someone land significant strikes that look damaging compared to one knee that caused a busted lip, like Khabib could have gotten a black eye against Justin Gaethje, but then he won the fight in the second round with the triangle choke. So who really won? You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Like
Yeah,
I could
yeah.
get swollen in my eye. I'm still dominating the fight, but people are really heavy on the dick riding for Sean O'Malley. I don't know if it's the
Yeah,
COVID
yeah.
mask he brought out with racism, or if it was the whole, my name is Sean O'Malley. Oh, I need to be the co-main event. Why are the women over me? Like, I
Yeah.
don't know. Maybe because it's the greatest women of all time fighting each other in the craziest clash we've ever seen. But Sean O'Malley picks up the win here. He wants
Yeah.
Petr Yan. They're really pushing for the Petr
Yeah.
Yan fight now.
Yeah. I'm
And
like,
and honest to God, like you have to have Murad fight before Sean. You know
yeah.
what I mean?
Yeah.
That's why I feel like Umar versus Sean, like you mentioned, is a way better fight matchup because defend the takedowns. If you can
Hmm.
beat Umar, you earned yourself a shot.
Yeah.
But if you're already saying that this is your retirement year, then why are we
I
gonna
know,
rush a
yeah. That's
championship fight?
yeah. That's why I picked
But
Yidong. I was
yeah,
thinking
what were your thoughts? What were your
I was
thoughts?
thinking O'Malley is gonna come in, 1 foot out the door already. What are you thinking about retirement? Even though he's like 31, I'm like, damn, we're a little early for that. But you do you, of course. And honestly, I could see the decision either way. I'm not that picky in terms of this one. Where I'm like, the first round, I think it came down to the first round, and I'm like, it was not too crazy. Nothing too crazy happened in that round, so I guess the judges are just like, let's give it to O'Malley for that one. So I'm not too unhappy with the decision, but I will say I'm not too impressed with the win for O'Malley, where I'm like, I don't know if that was a title shot earning performance. I'm like, it was a good win in terms of name value. Song Yadong, up and comer, really good. I mean, we freaking picked him, and then he's able to squeak out that decision. I'm like, I don't know if that's quite, give him a title shot off of that performance. Like, it was okay, did just enough maybe, stole that last round. And but I wasn't blown away by the performance whatsoever. But we'll see what happens with these matchmaking. We'll see if they're going riding the O'Malley train once again, or if they're going to go with a different route. I think Merab, like I've said, earned that rematch. So if he's ready, just freaking give Merab the rematch, and then give Umar and O'Malley a shot to fight each other, and then we'll see who's really the most deserving contender here. Because if I had to pick who did better this card, I'm like, I'd probably say Umar. But I don't know. It's tough. I feel like Yadong's a better opponent, but I feel like Umar did better. So it's a tough one. Like we've talked about, that's just a really, really stacked division. So there's contenders left and right on the come up. So who knows? We might see someone get a crazy knockout on one of these next cards coming up, and then next thing you know, they're in the title contention. So we'll have to see how it plays out with the matchmaking, because hopefully Merab gets a rematch. He's definitely earned that instant rematch. So it's just a matter of what are they going to do with Peter and Merab, or are they going to switch it up? Hopefully, I'm hoping for Merab.
Yeah. And like you said, both ways make sense a lot with whoever fights up next for Peter Yan. It's just that it has to be before this White House card, because no Russians here, no bombings here, and I'm like, okay, we've had many of those already.
Yeah, I'm like,
but
do
you see
I
the
just don't
world
understand.
right now?
Yeah, I'm like, are they gonna?
Holy
what are they gonna do? I'm like, half your roster's Russian. They haven't had a problem so far.
Exactly. But our next fight, the main event of the evening. You and I both went with Paddy Pimblett, and a lot of people were like, "Wow, if you were with Paddy Pimblett, you're a fool." Now I'm talking about you, Brady. I saw your goddamn comments, goddamn it. Like, I'm gonna say, I'm gonna be real honest here and real, honest.
Dude, he loves Gaethje, so he's rocking with Gaethje.
He loves Gaethje. I understand. CTE, runs in Gaethje, but also on top of the thing is that we've seen Gaethje have these fights where it was like, oh, how'd you lose to this guy? Oh, you beat this guy? Oh, cool. Like, for example, he makes his UFC debut. He fights Michael Johnson. And this is no way of dissing Justin Gaethje. He fights Michael Johnson. He gasses out in 2 rounds. So he needed that cardio to be way better because he was fighting in Vegas. And we're like, you're from Colorado, buddy. You're supposed to have that high elevation. He fights Eddie Alvarez. The gassing out shows right there. He gets pieced up badly. He fights Dustin Poirier. The gassing out shows there. And then the eye poke as well, but he loses Dustin Poirier. He fights James Vick, who calls him Homer Simpson, and he kills him in the first round.
Yeah, that
he
was
fights
bad.
Edson Barboza and kills him in the first round. He fights Donald Cerrone and kills him in the first round. Now, I'm not trying to say anything disrespectful about all the men except for maybe Vick, but James Vick, out of his prime. Was he? I don't even think he had a prime.
Yeah. He had early he was looking good, but
Edson Barboza hadn't had a really good fight in months or even years prior to 2019, and we're like, all right, what's gonna happen here? And then we saw the basic result. And then Donald Cerrone. Anyone who says a Donald Cerrone fight in 2019 was watchable was maybe because it was a knockout moment against him. Like, you know what I mean? Like he was like, I'm the BMF. Let me fight Conor McGregor, and we're like, are you sure? Like, that's a weird fight to still talk about, Donald Cerrone and Conor McGregor, because
he's coming off some losses too. They just wanted to feed freaking Conor, easy win.
Exactly. And then he fights Tony Ferguson, which I will say was his most incredible fight in the world for Justin Gaethje.
Yeah.
Because of the fact that you went against prime Tony Ferguson and you turned him into the most washed version of himself that we've ever seen. Like, he did not look good, and then that resulted in Tony Ferguson losing every fight afterwards. He just lost every single person. So I'm like, Justin, props to you right there, because that's really dominant. He loses to Khabib Nurmagomedov, which we knew he was going to lose to, but Khabib gave him props. That if you can't wrestle this guy, you better have some good boxing. Michael Chandler fights him. And let's be honest here, Michael Chandler ain't no freaking unicorn from 10 years ago.
Yeah.
He fights Charles Oliveira. He gets choked out for the championship. He fights Rafael Fiziev, beats him by majority decision. He fights Dustin Poirier, he knocks him out. He fights Max Holloway, buzzer beater knockout.
Yeah, that one was
Rafa,
fucking lit.
yeah, and then Rafael Fasiva, now Paddy Pimblett, unanimous decision wins. I feel like you should already be able to beat Rafael Fasiva, especially for Justin Gaethje. So like it's like
Yeah.
Benson Henderson fighting or Anthony Pettis fighting Benson Henderson, or Benson Henderson fighting Frankie Edgar. Well, like we
Mm-hmm.
know that's gonna happen. We just have to see it for ourselves.
Yeah.
But then he fights here against Paddy Pimblett, and a lot of people say, "Oh, Paddy got dominated." He did knockout wise. However, stat wise, if we're gonna say Song Yadong and Sean O'Malley were both close because of significant strikes, 156 significant strikes, Paddy Pimblett, 144 Justin Gaethje. Who was
Yeah.
dominant?
Yeah.
We know who was dominant, but like
Yeah. I'm like, it was
people
pretty.
use that.
It was early on was dominant, but Patty showed
Yeah,
his heart and had some good moments too. You
first
know.
those first 2-3 rounds was dominant by Justin Gaethje. We were seeing some craziest from him, but then rounds 4 and 5, despite it being dominant, I'm like, Patty's showing his heart, and
Yeah.
he's not quitting. Like people say Scousers, he says Scousers don't get knocked out. He got knocked down a bunch of times, but he
Yeah.
proved his freaking heart. What
For
were your
real,
thoughts on this
exactly,
win?
dude. It was a really, really, really entertaining fight, man. I was definitely worried for the pick early on. I'm like, oh god, Patty's about to get knocked out in the first 2 rounds. Got dropped in both of them. I'm like, oh fuck. I'm like, this ain't going well. But he was able to recover really well in those next few rounds and took a round or two off of Gaethje in those last 3 and really showed his heart and showed that he's not fucking around with the Scousers don't get knocked out shit. He actually means that, and you could tell he just had so much heart in that fight, not giving up, and had a few moments of his own where he was landing on Gaethje and had Gaethje backing up, wobbling a little bit, but Gaethje was just really locked in and was out there to prove a point. He wasn't liking Patty's shit talk, and I got to agree with Gaethje on this one, where Patty was dissing Dustin, saying he looked like shit against Holloway. Then Gaethje's like, "You look like shit against Holloway too." I'm like, low-key facts. And then Gaethje's like, "Oh, he's saying he'd mess up my face. Well, look at his face." I'm like, "Damn, okay, Gaethje, I didn't know you like that on the mic lately. Okay, I kind of like it." I'm like, I like this first version of Gaethje. He's talking shit about the pay. He's like, "I'm not getting paid more in this new contract. They said that they are, blah, blah, blah." And then they announced the new bonuses like the next day. I'm like, I like it, bro. Fucking talking shit. And now they changed the whole bonuses. I'm like, it probably was going to happen either way, but, Gaethje speaking out definitely did not hurt that. So I'm loving this new version of Gaethje where he's starting to be a little more outspoken with the fucked up pay system, and then he's backing it up in the cage. I'm like, dang. I was expecting Patty to be able to get some work on the ground, but surprising, Gaethje was able to control pretty much all of the ground game and racked up over 5 minutes of control time. So if you asked me before the fight who's going to have more control time, I'd say Patty for sure. But Gaethje showed that, even though he is mostly a striker, if he has to, he can control it on the ground a little bit, especially when you're already getting whooped on like Patty was. So huge credit for Gaethje for the win. Huge credit for Patty for making that an entertaining fight. He could have easily stayed down after those first 2 rounds and just let Gaethje go for the finish, and the ref probably would have jumped in, but he never gave up, never stopped trying to win, was always trying to get out of those tough positions and would keep getting up, keep fighting. Even though he was eating crazy shots, he just kept going. I'm like, one thing with Patty, I'm like, dude, tuck the damn chin, bro. He just has that shit out, ready to go, hands down. Like, he does not give a fuck. So I'm a little worried for after this fight, how is this going to affect Patty's chin? Because that's the type of beating that definitely could add up over time if you keep letting that happen over and over again. But definitely is going to be a learning opportunity for Patty. Going to have to, work on implementing his ground game, because I think that's his strongest part of his game. So sometimes you don't always have to scrap out there, even though it's fun for the fans. If you want to get the wins in the top of the top level, you're going to have to go to your strengths, and his strength is definitely the ground game. But he was already so damaged from the first 2 rounds. I think that he was just trying to put on a good show, try to survive, maybe get the knockout. He was definitely trying for the knockout. So huge credit for him. And overall, an amazing main event. Definitely lived up to our expectations. And I'm glad that he didn't get knocked out, man. It was so close early on, but ended up turning into an amazing fight, man. So no one can be mad about that fight. That was just pure entertainment through and through, pure heart, pure freaking skill from Gaethje to just absolutely land so many freaking shots on him, and freaking Patty could eat it. And I love that Gaethje was showing him respect afterward. You know, he really can't get knocked out. So it seems like they hopefully able to put the beef behind them, you know, unless they rematch, then bring it back. But, you know, two really tough fighters. Happy for Gaethje, sad for Patty, but I think that Hilly should be able to hopefully bounce back and work on his game after that loss. But, yeah, now we'll see Tapoya probably knock out Justin, or, you know, maybe we'll see an upset. That's what I was thinking watching the fight. I don't know about you, but I'm thinking Ilya might knock both these guys out in like 30 seconds.
Oh yeah. Bad, very, very bad.
Especially Patty. That chin was.
I want to say this. I rooted for Patty in the sense of, okay, I know the skills are there. I know he can wrestle. If you can destroy the cardio of Justin Gaethje, then you got yourself a freaking big one right there. You know what I mean? However, the day of the fight, I'm like, I low-key want him to lose. Like, and it wasn't even the day of the fight. It was like from like weeks ago, whenever him and Dan Hooker had that whole
yeah. For real, they're wild.
Yeah. So people are more mad at Dan Hooker than they are mad at Paddy Pimblett for starting this. Paddy Pimblett goes on and says that Dan Hooker can't grapple a rapist off of his mother. Who the fuck says that?
Yeah, I'm like, where is this coming from?
Dan Hooker comes back and says, "Oh, how's Ricky doing?" Which is Ricky is the best friend of Paddy Pimblett who committed suicide. It's a very fucked up thing to say in response, but I feel like it's very even if you're gonna say about someone's mother being sexually assaulted, and then you're a horrible person, Paddy Pimblett says, because I made a hypothetical joke and you took it serious.
I'm like, I feel like it's fair game if you start it, you know, with the shit talk. I'm like, you got to be able to dish it and get it.
Who in their right mind says, I made a hypothetical joke about sexual assault?
Yeah.
About sexual assault?
I'm like, and someone's mom? I'm like, people don't play about the mom.
Exactly. That's a crazy ass fucking deep into left fucking field throw you're fucking doing. And you're going to tell me that I'm wrong for saying, hey, you deserve to get your ass whooped. And then you talk shit about Dustin Poirier, who's like freaking gem.
In the
MMA world.
Yeah, I'm like, that's not going to get you any fans.
Shit. I would have pieced up Max Holloway and we're like, it's Max blessed Holloway. No one's going to kill this guy. Like, Volkanovski was the one to do it. And then Topuria, because it's like, they had that wild ass power in that little stocky body. But man, we get Paddy Pimblett gets his ass whooped here. It's a learning lesson. Don't say stupid shit. And then
don't piss off.
And Trevor Whitman did say, I did cover this article here, where Trevor Whitman said that you're going to be extremely shocked at the grappling and like the way that he's going to wrestle, like, you know, Paddy Pimblett for Justin Gaethje. And I'm like, wow, Whitman, you actually freaking came through with that. And I'm not saying Whitman doesn't, but that's a very good thing to have. And to turn Justin Gaethje into that cardio machine, because he looked real good up until that last minute, which was just the accumulated damage that both men took in that fight. But thank you so much to everybody that tuned in for this. We have
first of many this year.
472 people for our first episode of 2026. Very, very exciting stuff. I'm very happy for that. From Twitter, YouTube, Facebook, anywhere that you watched from, thank you so much.
Yeah.
Of course, this is like the happiest time that we get when we're able to watch this card, put our predictions in, and then talk about it and give an analysis on just the craziness. But this weekend, UFC will be back again this Saturday with another pay-per-view. We get back-to-back weekends with pay-per-views. It will be kicking off February with UFC 325 in Sydney, Australia. Fighters like Aaron Tao versus Namshrai Babaya. A lot of really new fighters. Khan Ofley versus Ziza. Kim Sang-wook against Damar Khan. In the prelims, we have Jacob Malkoun versus Damian Torres-Finney. Cameron Roston versus Cody Brundage. Billy Elikana against Junior Tafa in the light heavyweight division. The main card opener is like by the way, this card will start at 1 p.m. for those in the West Coast. It will be for 4 p.m. for people in the East Coast. So, make sure that you're ready for that.
Yeah.
This past weekend was 2 p.m., 5 p.m., Pacific and Eastern time and everything. So now it's an hour earlier because it's Sydney, Australia. But Quilon Sakilid, what is that?
Salkilled, I
Uh,
think. Yeah.
so, yes, yeah, him, knockout artist, absolutely love him. You and I both know what we're gonna be going for. Freaking
Yeah. Yeah.
straight up first round knockout versus Jamie Malarkey, and Jamie Malarkey's got himself a chin,
Oh yeah.
but I think this fight's gonna be a very very freaking quick one. Tai Tuivasa is back. This
Yeah.
might be his final
Dude.
fight in the
Yeah.
UFC.
He's looking
Might
huge.
be
Last I saw him, so hopefully he can make
yeah.
weight.
Hopefully he can make weight, and hopefully he does not get cut by the UFC because he'll be fighting the returning Talison Teixeira, who we last saw fight Derek Lewis, and then it would turn into a whole, betting odds scandal
Yeah.
and all
Yeah.
that type of stuff. So he's
Early
back.
stoppage.
Let's see what happens here. The next fight, Hop Al Fassi, we mentioned him before. He'll be fighting Mauricio Ruffi. I think that's a really good fight.
Yeah. For
Mauricio
real.
Ruffi
Two
losing to
strikers.
Benoit Saint Denis recently, or like last year. So
Yep.
now he's back into the octagon. We spoke about Dan Hooker. Dan Hooker's back, and we spoke
Yeah.
about Benoit Saint Denis. Benoit Saint Denis versus Dan Hooker in the co-main event. Like, bruh, we got violence.
Oh
This
yeah.
is
They're starting the
pure
year off right with these two cards.
unfiltered violence, and I'm
Mm-hmm.
very, very excited for it. And then the main event, Alexander Volkanovski comes back home and will look to once again put away Diego Lopez in a rematch. And Diego's looking so slick. He's got this freaking beautiful technique now so far, where he's finally getting that better head movement, that crisp head movement. So I think that it's going to be a very, very tough night for
Yeah.
Volkanovski if he does not protect himself like he did in the first fight.
Mm-hmm.
But of course, my man Max, where can they find you on your socials, seeing your art and seeing your takes on MMA?
Yeah. Follow me at Combat Convos on Twitter /X. We still call it Twitter, better name. Or follow me on Instagram at Brawl and Draw. Have some art pieces, let me get that in the shot. Diego Lopez right there in the middle. So, I
Yes,
might be
sir.
rocking with him. We'll see. Keep an eye out for our picks and keep an eye out for next week. We'll be right back here yapping it up about the newest, I guess it's not even a pay-per-view anymore. I guess just numbered card. I don't know, but
numbered
yeah,
events. UFC
numbered
324, UFC 325, free on
So
Paramount with
fuck yeah.
$89. It's beautiful. It's so I'm not gonna lie to you. It was like 7 p.m. and we were already into the Walter Cortez Acosta fight, and I'm like, dude, right now we're usually starting the pay-per-view.
Yeah,
Right now
yeah.
we're
I'm
barely
like,
getting the
finally.
walkout. I was like, I could take
And
naps
yeah,
in the day, and I could actually
not
be
having to
happy
worry
about
about
myself for
streams
it.
or
Like,
anything. I'm like, just put on
no
the
butthole streams, no
yeah,
freaking
for
stuff
real.
like that. Like none
No
of that.
doo-doo
Just Paramount
streams,
Plus.
nothing. No
No,
pop-up
no,
ads. I mean, just actual
exactly.
ads, but hey, at
No
least you don't have
porn
to
and
click
titties
away.
in your freaking
Yeah,
face. But
literally,
like
bro.
none
You
of that
have
stuff.
homies over watching. I'm like, don't mind me. Don't have to
Don't
do
mind
that
me. I'm
anymore.
just gonna get this out of the way. And then they're like, "Yo, who's Jasmine?" Like, come on, please. But thank you so much to everybody who tuned in. If you want to be able to follow me on social media at that Who Else But Rami. I post a lot of things on there.
Check out
It
his
really depends
interviews.
on. Yeah, thank you. I recently, in last month, like last 6 weeks, I was like, I need to get myself goddamn busy. So in the last 6 weeks, I interviewed Janai Kai, amazing professional wrestler on the independent scene. She has her background of boxing. She turns it into kickboxing into her own wrestling persona. And she's a hard hitter. She's badass, amazing to watch. She'll be at WrestleMania weekend this April, so I'm very excited to see what happens with her and Pandemonium Pro Wrestling. So my apologies. And then also I interviewed this past week Sapphire Reed and Anita Vaughn of Hyperactive, another tag team over in the UK. That is just amazing, amazing stories that they shared about their time at the Lodestone Seminar, talking with Bailey, Charlotte Flair, Natalia, Natty Neidhart, John Cena, so many great people, and it was a blast to talk with them. And even the Lodestone Seminar, the mini documentary came out last night, 20 minutes. If anyone has that time, definitely tune in, check it out. It will get you so much knowledge and info about all these amazing women and where they could end up in the next couple of months, maybe the next year. It's going to be very fun to see that happen. But of course, thank you so much to all 500 of you who watched us yap for about an hour and 10 minutes. Max and I were going, we're not going to, yap too much throughout the year. Usually we had our 2 hour shows and we were like, my God, I got to go take a piss. So now
Yeah,
we're,
for real. Less
we're
piss
definitely
breaks in
having ourselves.
2026.
Exactly. We got free pay-per-views. We got to give them an hour and 10 minutes. I'll just say after that. So thank you so much. We will be back again next Monday. Depends on what time, maybe 10 a.m., maybe again 1 p.m. I think we could just do either way and people will tune in and they'll
Yeah.
have a blast. So thank you, everybody. We will be back again next week, next Monday, maybe next Tuesday. It really depends on how everything goes. And thank you so much. UFC 325 this weekend, Paramount Plus. Alexander Volkanovski looks to defend the UFC lightweight championship, it's like featherweight championship against Diego Lopez. It'll be a fun one. Can't wait. We will see you again next time. Thank you.